Good morning.
Good talk, Rabbi Prague.
בוקר טוב. מה נשמע בארצנו הקדושה?
אותו הדבר. כולנו, אין חדשות. How was the trip? You got there safe? Everything's good?
נשמע, זה מעניין מאוד. I was waiting on 16th Avenue at 49, and I was sure that the bus stops there. It didn't stop, so I had to come back home. I'm still home. I'm taking the bus at 8:20 this morning. But it's fine. Okay.
And the Rebbitzins there too, right?
She went already yesterday because all the packages were stored by my son, Mordechai. The van bringing it. She set up the house. She'll pick me up from the bus. Baruch Hashem.
Good.
This week we have a double parasha. Parashat Chukat Balak. This week really we catch up with Israel. So Jimmy said yesterday something very interesting. Jimmy said yesterday his father told me that some Sephardic communities in Argentina, for instance, every year, they read always Korach and Chukat together. Since the topic of Parashat Korach is machloket, arguments, so they don't want to read by itself. So they read it, it's a מעניין מאוד, מאוד מעניין. זאת אומרת, it's a message to the people. Yes? Instead of, let's say, by Chukat Barak together, they would do Korach and Chukat.
Good morning.
So, good morning. The two parashiyot are really loaded parashiyot. The parasha by Parad Umar begins, this Zot Chukat HaTorah. Listen carefully what Rashi says. Why is the Torah labeling the laws of Parad Umar as a Chok? לפי שהשטן באומות העולם מונים את ישראל לומר, מה המצווה הזאת? ומה הטעם יש בה? What's the logic of this mitzvah? So Hashem says, חוק, זאת חוקת. גזרה היא מלפניי, אין לך רשות להרהר אחריה. So the obvious question is, since when are we concerned and what other nations are saying about the laws of the Torah? Secondly, if we do, so what's the answer we give them? They're asking, what is the logic of taking a red heifer, red cow, and you have to sprinkle, you have to burn? So what are we answering? This is the chok? So the Kli Yakar lived in Europe approximately 300 years ago. He says, what we answer them is that our look on the Torah and the mitzvot is different than you. You're looking on it as a logical Torah. Let's say, I'm using an example only. If you ask someone that really understands, knows how to read the map, what would you say? What is the basic difference between conservative reform movement to Torah and mitzvot and the more orthodox outlook? How would you define it as to an outsider?
No, the derivations. It's literal, maybe half, even so little, they're not so literal because not violating the Shabbat. So how's reform even justify that? I don't know. But
okay, no. I'm not here to. I'm saying you have to explain to a Gentile. We have 3 branches of Judaism. He's asking you which denomination are you. You say I'm an What's the difference between? You cannot tell him though. They
Right.
believe that the Torah can change from time to time because we fulfill only what we understand and we can apply to day-to-day life. So they say, well, not a today is to flip a switch. Is not an avodah. This is exactly the outlook that the non-Jews are working on it. It's illogical. The answer is we're not doing it because it's logical. We're doing it because God told us to do. If we understand or not, we do it. So chukah shechakakti, it's not the answer to you. I'm just explaining to you that the way. I'm using another example, yes? So it's very easy to listen to our parents when the parents were alive. It makes sense. But sometimes the parents become old and they are cranky and nudgy. And to do something that they're asking doesn't make any sense. This is a proof that I really care for you. Asking me now to do is totally nonsense. I'm doing it because you're my father, you're my mother. So it's a tremendous difference. There's no question that because of the technology that we have, so many new questions come up. But whatever was a no-no 2,000 years ago cannot become yes today. Because the no-no is because Hashem said, in certain situations, we can be linear, but the reason is, of course, so the halacha doesn't change, situations do change. Now, after saying that, now we really have a big question here. Look a second, if you have the article, look a second on page 842. This is Perek Yutet.
842.
Perek Yutet. In Rashi, at the right column, Rashi on Pasuk Chabet. It's about the eighth line on the right column in Rashi. Rashi says, Medrash Agada. So now Rashi is taking us step by step by Parad Umah to show us the logic of Parad Umah. The entire Parad Umah, Rashi is explaining to us, is to atone for Chet HaEgel. כשם שהם פרקו נזמי הזהב לעגל, they took off the jewelry, כך ויקחו אליך, they have to purchase and pay for the parad. Then Rashi explains, the parad, mother, is coming to atone for the golden calf. Egel is the son of the parad. The red is a symbol of Aveirot, Pasuk Yeshayahu. Tmima, the Jewish people were clean, the Egel, and Elazar HaKohen began the Gazor, now it's Elazar. Beautiful, and now is to atone. So why is Parad Umar late? Of the ingredients and fits perfectly to Kapara and Chet HaEgel. See, but this goes back to what we said before. I'm just using an example, All the Rishonim is the major Rishonim, Ramban and Rambam, and they talk in Parashat Ki Tavo. Let's say, Oto ve'et beno lo tishchatu b'yom echad, right? You cannot slaughter the mother and the child by animals in the same day. So the Ramban and the Rambam, and the Ramban brings the Rambam is to teach us mercy because it causes pain to the mother, of course. But how about if I slaughter the mother first, then the child? What happens if I sold the mother to a farmer in Tel Aviv and the son to someone in Tzfat? You don't see each other. Every mitzvah that has a lot of common sense and logic, you go to the details of the mitzvah, you see it doesn't fit.
Isn't it sort of like Shiluach HaKan a little bit also?
It's exactly the same. And by Shiluach HaKan, if you know the details of Shiluach HaKan, I'm using an example. The Ramban is using the Rambam's language. Can you imagine how bad the mother feels if you take the chicks away and she's there? Send the mother away. Really, if you think about it, it teaches us a real lesson. How about that? How about if the mother is hovering over the nest on a branch, top? Pasuk says, "V'aem yoshevet al habitzim or al ha'efruchim." Only if the mother
Yoshevet or rovetzet?
Rovetzet. What difference does it make? Right. She feels as bad. The Gemara says, the Rambam brings it, and the Shulchan Aruch brings it. Theoretically, if the mother is on a branch, a top, you can take the children. But the mother, the answer is, every time you have logic, the logic is a very strong moral lesson to us. But this is not the reason for the mitzvah. The mitzvah, every mitzvah is a chok. This is what the Orach Chaim HaKadosh explains here. No, but this is very often we're trying to explain to our family or mother people or non-Jews. And it's very nice, people, but what's the logic of this? Very nice. This is not the reason for the mitzvah. This is the side benefit of the mitzvah.
Isn't that what you've taught about when the chinuch wants ta'amei hamitzvot?
This is exactly it. Not only that, when Yaakov Lustig was alive, alav shalom, he used to always say over. The chinuch says always, mishorashei hamitzvah. Mishorashei. This is some of the roots of the mitzvah, not the reason for the mitzvah. If you eat a very good piece of meat, without any spices, no salt, did you eat meat? Certainly. Do you have taste? No. Ta'amei hamitzvot are the flavor, not the reason for.
Nice.
This is why the Torah is using, says the Orach Chaim, Zot chukat HaTorah. It should have said Zot chukat HaPara. What's chukat HaTorah? Talking about one particular mitzvah. Here you learn, he says it openly, that if you do it right, you understand that all the mitzvah that you do are based on chukim, with a lot of flavor, spices, to teach us a lot. This is not the reason. So of course Parah Adumah is coming to atone for Chet HaEgel, of course. This is not the reason for the Parah, because there are so many contradictions within the mitzvah. Purifies the man that you sprinkle on, but the one who sprinkles is becoming Tameh. Why is it so important to have from 3 years old? Yes. Why are the colors so important? What is the 3 and 7? You remember we saw this week? According to the Rambam, it has to be always 3, 7. Even if it's a year later, this is the 3 you have to wait 4 days. The Rambam says after you did the first one, after 3 days, it makes a difference when you do the other one, as long as you do the other one. The answer is this is part of the chok. As we learned, we saw in the Rambam this week, the ashes of the Parah Adumah were placed in 3 places. One, only the Kohanim Gedolim were using, then for the public. You remember, Rani, you were asking the amount, did they have enough? For Moshe Rabbeinu till Ezra, which is close to 1,000 years, he used 1 parah. A, because people were more careful, and from Ezra and on, he used 8 more. Either people were not so careful or whatever. And the Rambam concludes, "V'ha'asiri," the 10th one, Yaseh HaMelech HaMashiach.
But when you said more careful, you mean more careful in the behavior, more careful in the use of the ashes?
Could be both of them. It doesn't say openly why. So this is the first part of the. As a matter of fact, everyone knows that when the Gemara wants to give us the story, look how a non-Jew, the Adama Benetina, was so devoted to the mitzvot, he lost a lot of profit by not waking his father. The Gemara says the next year, his reward was that the red heifer, Parah Adumah, was born. What is the connection between the reward? It's just simple. You lost $1 million, you made $1 million. But one of the great Hasidic masters says, after he did not wake his father, his act became a reason for the Satan to speak against Jews. Look at this Gentile. Gentile is willing to lose so much money. Not all of us are spending money when it comes to a mitzvah. We're trying to. Hashem gave him Parah Adumah. The answer is, the Gemara says that when Chachmei Israel came in to negotiate of purchasing, he says to them, I know that you'll give me any amount of money that I want. But the only amount I'm looking for is the money I lost.
Wow. Perfect.
Says the Kotzker really beautifully. He is willing to spend a fortune for something he understands. We are willing to spend a fortune for a chok, for a mitzvah we don't understand.
I'll tell you a brief story. I went to a religious article store on Conant Avenue. I went to get my clothes shatnez in the back. They do the shatnez. And so I bought 2 yarmulkes. And the price was $7.50 each, $15. I paid the young man that's at the cash register. And he starts paying me as if 20, 40. He's giving me $85 change. I said, wait a minute, I gave you a 20. No, I thought you gave me 100. I says, look, I gave you a 20. He looked in the drawer, and the $100 section, he put the 20. I said, that would have been my unlucky day. Now, the Yid next to me says, only by us we understand that. As if I didn't realize when I took the 85 home, I'd be $80 ahead of the game here, which would have been terrible. So it would have been my unlucky day. And the Yid told me, only by us we understand that.
Yeah, but this is it's good when it happened.
Yeah.
Who in their right mind would buy a lulav and esrog for $500? We don't understand it, but meanwhile it's like a chok too. Hashem says, take the lulav and an esrog.
And you get a lot of pleasure seeing it and holding it and looking at it.
Right, but think about it.
Tremendous pleasure.
People would look at you like
the Rosh Yeshiva of Mir, blessed you think, as you know, suffered most of his life for many years.
Yeah.
Multiple sclerosis. He was on the plain one, on a regular seat. And one of his real students come, says, Rabbi, please move to the first class. I'm paying for it. He says to him, no. He says, Rabbi, do me a favor. Yeah? Anyway, what is the difference in price between economy and first classes? He says to him, if you really want to do me a favor, take this money, write me a check for Yeshivat Mir.
By the way, Rabbi Prague, we should learn today in the Zechus of Rav Aram Yehoshua, who is in the hospital, the Rav of Brisk in Yerushalayim. He's going through. So we should keep it in our minds that the Rosh Yeshiva.
Which type of an operation does he have?
He had a heart operation in Switzerland, I believe, and he came back a while, and he's been in the hospital, and it merits our thinking about the Rosh Yeshiva big time.
Zechut Avraham Yehoshua, then his father's name was Yosef Dov. His mother, I forgot. Oh. That his father also suffered from heart. Yeah.
It's really a serious situation, and
who told you that?
I heard from Rabbi Bromberg speaks to the family, right. And he called, and he's been in the hospital for a while now, and it's been up and down. I didn't speak to them this morning yet, but I know it's his zechus. He's a very. You talked about a gadol. We have to keep it in mind.
Many thousands of
he's something.
Yeah.
Rabbi, was it the same Rabbi Shiva Meir? You told me a millionaire visited the yeshiva, and he said, I'm so impressed, I want to write the check for anything you want. Here's the check. He said, write out the check to the name of the religious article store to buy a tefillin. That's all he wanted. I forgot the story you told us. I don't know which yeshiva.
But this story. No, but here you have to know. You have to know him personally. But the amazing part is, this is a young man that was raised and born in Chicago.
Yes.
In high school, the same as Magen David and Flatbush.
Wow.
When he graduated, his father, who was a nephew of Rav Finkel, the Rosh Yeshiva sent him there.
Mm.
He never came back, obviously, and he became the son-in-law of the Rosh Yeshiva.
Beautiful.
No, but it's the message, of course, is that you don't have to be born to here or there. It's what you make out of yourself. I can tell you one thing. I used to have a fellow here. He moved already to Lakewood. His name was, I'll remember his name in a minute. His wife was the first cousin of the wife of Rabbi Finkel. As you know, Rabbi Finkel went to visit Chaim Kanievsky and Chol HaMoed Sukkot. He came back, he went to sleep, and he never woke up.
Oh.
The wife told her cousin that somehow I couldn't sleep at night. So I stretched my hand to the bookcase and I took out the Sefer Tanakh. The Sefer that she took was Sefer Melachim. The page that she opened says, when Eliyahu Hanavi is departing from Elisha, it says that the students are telling Elisha, Hayadata, do you know, Ki Hayom, today your master is being taken away? Wow. This I heard from the fellow that his wife heard it during the Shiva, she called away. Okay, this is, thank God Hashem sends us people like that.
I'll tell you a related story in a way. The one that Rabbi Diamond talks one night, many, many years ago. It was a Friday night, Erev Shabbat. He couldn't sleep. He got up in the middle of the night and he went to his study and he took out a sefer. And for some reason, at random, he pulled a sefer that talked about Avelut. His daughter got killed by a car that night going to or from the mikveh.
Right. Scary story.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is topic number 1 in the parasha. Topic number 2, of course, is that Miriam died. Are you aware? Let me read the psukim. This is the end of the 40 years, but this is on page 842. Vayeshev ha'am bekadesh, v'tamat sham Miriam, v'tikaber sham. ולא היה מים לעדה by Aaron later in the parasha, it says that people cried for him for 30 days. By Moshe, in Parashat Vezot Avracha, it says, most people cried for Moshe. Here, there's no, here, but Tamat, she died and she was buried. This is the lady, and because of her, you had Moshe Rabbeinu. She had the courage to speak to her father. It's not fair to separate him from your wife. To approach the lady who took her brother. I find you someone. She is the lady that had the courage to stand alone on the shore to watch her brother. She is the lady that she and her mother delivered many babies and just she died and she's buried. Says the Alter, this was a punishment. If you forget the sense of gratitude, we get used very often to the favors that we have. And after a while, we deserve it. The Torah purposely says, you forgot that the water you had 40 years came because of this lady also. This is why the water stopped as she died. The people are complaining, everyone knows it, and Hashem says to Moshe, pick up your mateh, go to the cellar, and talk to the cellar. Okay, everyone knows it, unfortunately or fortunately, Moshe Rabbeinu struck in the cellar, and he and Aaron. Why was Aaron punished? Here's again, it's not the first time. Aaron didn't do anything wrong, but Aaron being there could have say something to his brother. Many times we saw it in the Rambam Hilchot Deot. All the commentators, it's the only time in Chumash, every major is beginning with the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, the Ramban here, the Ibn Ezra here, the Rabbeinu Hananel here. 7 or 8 reasons that the commentators find what was the mistake? Why was the punishment so harsh? I saw yesterday for the first time, I never saw it before. Zalman Auerbach said that when he was young, he saw in the Sefer, someone wrote a Sefer on commentary on Chumash. So he says in the introduction like this, I'm trying to write commentary that no one before me said, except this Parashat Chukat. Why? Because everyone took something that we don't know, and they made already many averot from what's not reason. So here I'm just going to repeat. I don't have to add another averah. You understand? If you take the commentary that the Rishonim are giving, each one says something, but meantime we have more averot. Yes, more averot of.
About Prague?
Yes.
When we read, we have to be so careful. You look at Pasuk Yud, based on what you said. So it's Vayakilu Moshe ve'Aaron et hakahal el pnei hasala, and then it doesn't say Vayomru lahem. It says Vayomer lahem. It's so fascinating how we read so fast and we don't look. It's like there has to be a reason why it's said like that. Because otherwise it would be Vayakilu tam Moshe Aaron, but it isn't. It's Vayakilu to the plural and then to the singular. It's
striking. No, it's open. You see, the big question, of course, is, so why did Hashem tell him to take the mateh if he's not going to strike it? But if you really want to go into it, in Parashat Beshalach, the first time when the people were looking for water,
Right, that's the difference.
He was striking. Hashem told him, take the mateh and strike the seller. Well, how come this time Hashem just told him, "V'dibartem el haselah"? Why didn't Hashem tell him the same as he told him the first time, to strike the seller?
Also, is there any connection between this mateh and all the matot that we started in Shemot?
It's a big discussion here. So most of the Rishonim are saying, I mean, let's put it this way. Rashi says that the mistake was you were told to speak to the seller, not to strike.
Right.
Said the Ramban, if so, how come Hashem told him to take the mateh? To which the Rishonim answer, the mateh had the name of Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, engraved on it. When Moshe was holding the mateh now, doing many of the makot in Egypt, the mateh shows that he's a shaliach of Hashem. So he is the same mateh, everyone agrees. Not only that, Mazachet HaMateh, where was it? Where's the mateh? The mateh was placed somewhere near Kodesh HaKodeshim. So,
and is it different from the matot that we read about last week with all the matot when at the end, when they took, Aaron has his own mateh?
Last week we read that each president of each tribe gave his own mateh. But the mateh that he used in Egypt. Interestingly, so how come Parashat Beshalach he was told to strike? The Midrash has a fascinating analogy. The Midrash says a king has a young child, and he's telling to make sure that the kid when the kid is older and more educated and more mature, the father speaks to him. He doesn't strike him. In Parashat Beshalach, this is the beginning of the 40 years. The beginning of the 40 years, Jewish people are looked upon as children, just came out of Egypt. The only way to make an impact on you is by some physically. Now, this is the end of the 40 years. At the end of the 40 years, Hashem told them to speak to the seller. It's really fascinating. Aruch HaShulchan is a great commentator on the Shulchan Aruch. He says something very unique. The first 40 years, the water came, b'zchut of Miriam. Miriam is a lady. As a lady, she's patur from Talmud Torah, but she's obligated to fulfill most of the mitzvot. Mitzvot are action. So the way Moshe brought out the water was by an act. He's striking the seller. Now it's 40 years later. Miriam is not alive anymore. Why is the water coming now? Because of Moshe. Moshe is the emissary, is the symbol of Torah Sheba'al Peh, which is verbally, we are fulfilling it by reciting, by learning it. This is why he says here, he was told to speak. Now, tell me, the Rambam, Rabbi Yochanan, the Ramban, listen to a very unique interpretation. There's a sefer called Sefer HaYikarim, written by Rabbi Yosef Albu. He was from Spain. This Ikarim are foundations of our religion. This is what he says. He says, why are you, Moshe and Aaron, waiting for Hashem to tell you what to do? You are great people. You have a lot of powers. The minute they saw that the people suffer and are thirsty, men and animals, they should have had their own do something and bring water. This is what he says. Says the Meshech Chochmah, I don't understand. If you follow Moshe for 40 years, Moshe never performed any miracle on his own. Every time Hashem told him, take the mateh, he turns into a snake. Hashem told him, take your mateh, stretch it over the Nile. Hashem told him, take some this. He always listens to Hashem tells him to perform. So suddenly here, the Sefer HaIkarim tells us that he should have, on his own, he and Aaron do something miraculously to help the people. Why? Listen to something fascinating he says. He says, what is the reason that we don't find that Moshe ever performed any miracle on his own? Because Moshe was afraid. If I do it, people might look at me as a godly power man. You know, human nature is we always see a man that performed. Moshe was very careful. Other prophets, every time they prophesize, either they sleep or the body is shaking, so it's obviously they have no godly power. Here, Moshe is prepared. This is why he never did it on his own. However, the only exception is last week by Korach. Remember, Moshe is doing it on his own. If those people died a regular death on the bed, I did. Why did he do it? Because Korach's claim is, Moshe is not special. We are all on the same level. Let me show you something that no one can do. I am a messenger of Hashem. And Moshe says, the earth is going to open and you're going to go down, and it happened. So after performing this big open miracle in front of everyone, now you did it already, do it again. So he said, this is how he explains beautiful Sefer HaIkarim.
Well, like Moshe graduated. He graduated now to be his own person.
This is exactly, not only that, David, he came out of his shell, so to say. You were holding back all the time for your own reasons. But now that
a person has a responsibility. Once you've ma'alim bekodesh, you don't have a chance to go down.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, David, it's known, it's written really, that the Gra knew all the other chokhmot. He knew algebra, he knew mathematics, and he knew physics. He knew medicine, but he never practiced because his father told him, if you practice, you will be obligated to stop and help other people. There are always enough doctors. For some more, yes?
Wow.
Here you perform.
Wow.
You perform already.
Beautiful. Yeah, I didn't catch that point. There's a beautiful nekudah, but if we just go back to Miriam, so Moshe is the power of Torah Sheba'al Peh, speech, but is Miriam the power of action? How do we see that Miriam is bedavka action?
No one said that she's the power of action. Aruch HaShulchan only says that since Miriam represents ladies, ladies are defined by action, not by Talmud Torah, okay? ולכן, when Moshe did it, he did it the way they express themselves. Yeah, they express themselves in Avodat Hashem. No, he didn't say the way you said it there, but this is the Aruch HaShulchan. הוא לא אומר את זה in this language.
Okay.
So this topic, and unfortunately, right? Moshe and Aaron are not entering Israel because of this mistake, and the Torah emphasizes every time that they are not going to Israel because of that. תראה, יש פה דבר פלא. when Moshe is striking, when Hashem spoke to him the first time, Hashem says, talk to the rock, Veishkita et ha'edah, ve'et be'iram, and give drink to the assembly and to the animals. Be'iram, yeah? Ha'edah be'iram. When Moshe is striking, it says, Vayetzu mayim rabim, mayim rabim. Hashem didn't tell him in the beginning that if you talk to the seller, a lot of water is going to come. Says the Meshech Chochmah, the real greatness of the Yachas, the relationship between us and Hashem is Anatati ve'achalta ve'savata. Quantities is not a sign of close relationship. Hashem says, I love you so much that you'll be happy and full and excited from what you get. Now that Moshe didn't do it the right way, okay, so get a lot of water. A lot of water takes away from the message people have to get. It's
well, you get that with the Slav too, because,
exactly.
It was, in other words, in excess.
Exactly.
Robert, that's not how we look at the world. We look at the world shefa. When we think of blessing and shefa, we think of a lot.
David, this is exactly the point. The Chazon Ish lived, as everyone can understand, the table in his house, I read this week, it was made by crates of milk crates, it put together and a piece of wood on it. Anyway, very often people came, if the rabbi would go out a week, or just, make it into a house. And he always, very nicely refused. But after people left, he used to say, they verstehen nicht, they don't understand. I'm missing nothing. I'm happy in what I have. You hear? Let's listen to a statement. Can we say that we are missing nothing, unhappy in what we have? We are constantly. Again, it's not to blame. We're human. We're part of society. They have a new car. They went on vacation. They refurnished the house. Chazon says, no, I'm missing nothing. You say it's a friend.
Isn't that like Mayim Rabim lo yicholim lechabot et hahavat?
Mayim Rabim lo yichabot et hahavat shetechpat. Right. Over there, the pasuk has to use Mayim Rabim because he's talking about lechabot, is to put out. Because Bayas, the fire department is coming because they have Mayim Rabim. Interestingly, this is very, very interesting. The third big topic here is the death of Aaron. Now, you know that Moshe, that Kohen Gadol is not permitted to walk outside of Beit HaMikdash dressed with the 8 Bgadim. Here, Moshe, Aaron dressed in the 8 Bgadim, and Elazar are climbing up an Or HaHar. You understand that everyone realized something big is happening. Over there, listen carefully, Moshe is told, undress your brother, take the garments and dress his son, and then Aaron will die. Why was it so important? So why was it so important that he has to undress him and dress his son? Okay, so the simple shot, of course, is it's the biggest gift a person can get before he dies, is to see that his son, who deserves to succeed him, is succeeding him. This is beautiful. But there's something halachically very deep here. Had he not done that, the minute Aaron died, his 2 children are onen, by the day that we lose one of our 7 relatives. You cannot do any mitzvot. Who are the only Kohanim in the world now? 2. The 2 children, Elazar and Itamar. who is going to perform the Avodah in the Mishkan that day.
Oh, so he has to become Kohen Gadol before his father.
Beautiful, says the Rambam. This King David exactly that. Beautiful. You know? He has to become a Kohen Gadol. And as you all know from Parashat Emor, Kohen Gadol doesn't have any trace of Avelut. This way, when he comes down, he can to show you that everything is done and orchestrated in halach, in a very strong halachic way.
Wow.
This is. It's also very interesting if you read it. Then it says after the unit, it says, "Vayered Moshe ve'Elazar min ha'ar." למה לא כתוב וירדו משה ואהרון? Elazar, the minute he was anointed, is a Kohen Gadol now. Vayered Moshe, the fact that they realize Moshe is coming down and Elazar is dressed, everyone wonders what happened. ויבכו את אהרון 30 יום כל בית ישראל. The second half of of course, we have another parasha that we have no time to touch, but if you listen carefully to the words of Bilam, this is history. Whatever he's telling about Jews, this is for history. And the biggest message, of course, is the man was determined to go and annihilate. They went to few spots. And every time, and he fails, and he tries again and again. This is the strongest message of Parashat Balak, yes? Not only that, here are two people, a king and a powerful man, a powerful prophet, negotiating to annihilate, and they talk about money and kavod. Come, I'll give you more money. We're talking about millions of people. You're going to kill millions of people. You want more money, I can give you. This parasha is history, to the point that the Gemara says that they wanted to establish that every day in Kiryat Shema, we have to say some of the Pesukim of this parasha. What is it? The message, Kara shachav ke'ari u'kelavi miyekimenu. The Jewish people are here eternally very strong. We do get many flags through the way, but by the end, Kara shachav ke'ari u'kelavi. And at the end, he fails, and of course, he's being punished. Have a wonderful Shabbat.
Rabbi, let's talk about Sunday morning, Rabbi. Are we using the same code as we just used now, which is the Shadetzion code, 550?
My phone was terminated by the school, so what I'm teaching you now, I'm taking with me, and someone is going to put the number in, so 90%. Going to
so we'll try both to see which one was going to click.
No, 444 is out.
So the 464 is out. So it's 550. Hopefully you'll get them to install it.
Wonderful Shabbat.
Shabbat
Shalom. One is 550.
Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Sunday morning, 9 a.m.
We're on 550 now?
Right? We're going to do Melachim, right?
Most likely, yes.